There's a man. Let's call him Alex. One morning, Alex wakes up to the sound of his phone buzzing. He's late. His alarm didn't go off. He rushes to the bathroom, stubs his toe. His coffee spills on his shirt. Traffic is a nightmare. And when he finally gets moving, someone cuts him off without even a glance. He slams the steering wheel, shouting, heart racing, hands shaking. His whole day is thrown off. Sound familiar? Now here's the twist. Imagine another man. Same morning, same missed alarm, same spilled coffee, same rude driver. But this man, he pauses, takes a breath, accepts the moment. He doesn't clench the wheel. He doesn't yell. He simply continues. What's the difference between the two? Control, emotional mastery. And today, you're going to learn how to develop that kind of strength using the ancient wisdom of Stoicism and the personal teachings of one of the most powerful men in history, Marcus Aurelius. Before we dive into Stoicism, before we talk about controlling emotions, staying calm under pressure, or building inner peace, we need to meet the man whose wisdom has outlived empires. A man who ruled not from comfort, but from chaos. His name was Marcus Aurelius. Now, when you hear the word philosopher, what image comes to mind? Maybe a quiet monk meditating in the mountains, or a professor in a dusty library filled with books. Someone disconnected from the real world. But Marcus was none of that. He was a Roman emperor, the most powerful man on earth, a man born into immense privilege, yet forced to lead during one of the darkest, most unstable periods in Roman history. Imagine this. You are 40 years old. You wear the golden robe of an emperor. Outside your palace, the world is in flames. A deadly plague, the Antonine Plague, is sweeping through cities, killing millions. Entire Roman legions are being wiped out by invading Germanic tribes. Your generals betray you. Senators plot behind your back. Even your own wife's loyalty is questioned. You can't trust anyone. You can't show weakness. You carry the survival of the empire on your shoulders. And yet, every night, after commanding armies and managing disasters, you sit alone. Candlelight flickers, and with a stylus in hand, you write in your private journal. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. This is Marcus Aurelius, not just a ruler of land, but a ruler of himself. Marcus wasn't born an emperor. He didn't inherit the crown overnight. He was born in 121 AD into a wealthy and noble Roman family. From an early age, people around him noticed something strange for someone raised in such luxury. He didn't chase pleasure. He didn't care for fine clothes or the applause of crowds. What he loved was philosophy. His teachers taught him the Stoic way, a life of discipline, simplicity, and virtue. They trained him not to desire wealth or fame, but to pursue wisdom, justice, courage, and self-control. While other young nobles hunted and partied, Marcus studied. And eventually, his dedication was noticed by the Emperor Hadrian, who saw in Marcus the potential to rule. By the time Marcus took the throne in 161 AD, he had already spent most of his life preparing, not for power, but for adversity. Because deep down he knew the crown wouldn't protect him from suffering. It would guarantee it. His reign was defined by hardship. The Antonine Plague, possibly smallpox, ravaged the empire, killing up to 5 million people. Entire cities were emptied. Crops failed. Trade collapsed. Panic spread. People begged Marcus to give them hope or a scapegoat. He did neither. He didn't lie. He didn't blame. He simply continued working, day after day, to manage the crisis with composure. Then came the wars. Rome's borders were under constant threat from Germanic tribes. Marcus spent over a decade leading military campaigns along the Danube River. But don't imagine him in a golden chariot. He slept in tents, ate with soldiers, endured freezing winters and muddy battlefields. He led by example, not emotion. And what about his personal life? His co-emperor and adopted brother, Lucius Verus, was more interested in luxury than leadership, often leaving Marcus to face crises alone. His children were sickly. Of at least 13, most died young. His own son Commodus, the only one to survive, would later become one of the most violent and corrupt emperors in Roman history, a deep disappointment to everything Marcus stood for. How does a father reconcile with that? How does a man stay calm when his own flesh and blood undoes his life's work? Marcus didn't lash out. He didn't collapse. Instead, he returned again and again to his journal, not to complain, but to remind himself how to live. He wrote things like, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been. And it is not death that a man should fear, but never beginning to live." Think about that. A man who buried most of his children, who ruled during plague and war, who never had peace, still wrote not with bitterness, but with clarity, patience, and strength. He knew he couldn't control fate, but he could control himself. And that, in the eyes of Stoicism, is the only true power a human being can ever have. Here's the most incredible part. Meditations, the journal Marcus Aurelius kept, was never meant to be published. It was private, just for him. No audience, no fame, no followers, just a man reminding himself, over and over, how to be wise when the world is unwise, how to be calm when the world is chaos. That's why his words resonate today. They weren't written to impress. They were written to survive, to guide, to teach future generations that no matter how much pain you face, you can still choose peace. Now ask yourself, if a man who ruled millions while losing his family, fighting off invasions, and living through a plague could control his emotions, what's stopping you? Your boss? Your inbox? A rude comment? A traffic jam? No. The truth is, the only thing standing between you and emotional mastery is training. And Marcus left us the blueprint. We'll explore that blueprint in the next sections. But for now, remember this. Marcus Aurelius had everything, and still chose to live simply. He had power over nations, and still questioned himself every night. He had the right to complain, and still chose wisdom over anger. He was not just an emperor of Rome. He was the emperor of himself. And if you follow his path, you can be, too. Why we struggle with emotions today. Let me ask you something honest. How many times this week did you feel anxious for no clear reason? How many moments did you feel triggered by something small, stupid, or completely out of your control? Someone takes too long to reply to your text. Suddenly, you're spiraling. You scroll through social media and see a friend's success. Suddenly, you feel behind. A stranger says something rude, and the rest of your day is poisoned. Why? Why are our emotions so fragile today? Marcus Aurelius lived in a world of swords, plagues, and literal war. Yet he managed to stay calm, deliberate, and composed. We live in a world of soft pillows, streaming entertainment, grocery delivery, and GPS. Yet we're overstimulated, reactive, and emotionally exhausted. The truth? Modern life is not harder than Marcus Aurelius' world, but it is noisier, and it's that noise that's killing our peace. Let's break it down. We live in a hyper-connected, overstimulated, emotionally hijacking society. And most of the time, we don't even notice it. Right now, your phone is probably within arm's reach. Notifications, likes, comments, messages, news, ads. You wake up, check your phone. Go to work, check your phone. Go to bed, still checking your phone. We are constantly plugged into other people's lives, opinions, judgments, and emotional triggers. In ancient Rome, someone might get insulted once every few weeks in the public square. Today, you can be insulted anonymously by 100 strangers on Twitter while brushing your teeth. You are bombarded, not by swords and arrows, but by emotional hooks. And it gets worse. Everything around you is designed to hijack your emotional state, because your attention is valuable. Social media apps know that if they can make you angry, scared, or jealous, you'll stay on longer. That's why your feed is filled with outrage, envy, and fear. Not peace, patience, or wisdom. It's not an accident. It's a business model. We've become addicts, not just to dopamine, but to reaction. We react to headlines. We react to DMs. We react to traffic, to emails, to people's facial expressions, to what someone might be thinking about us. We're constantly reacting, rarely reflecting, and Marcus Aurelius would have warned us. Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. But how many of us ever go inward anymore? Let's get personal. Have you ever lost sleep over something you said hours ago? Ever avoided a conversation because of how it might feel? Ever snapped at someone you love? Not because they deserved it, but because your emotions were already frayed? This is not weakness. This is modern life, untamed. Marcus understood something we've forgotten. Emotions are not enemies, but they are wild animals. If you don't tame them, they will control you. Now here's the most dangerous myth we've been sold. Follow your emotions. Sounds romantic, right? Authentic? Human? But think about it. What happens if you follow anger? If you follow jealousy? If you follow insecurity? Do those things ever lead you to peace? Emotions are signals, not steering wheels. And Stoicism teaches us to read the signal, but not be ruled by it. Marcus Aurelius was constantly surrounded by pressure. Life or death decisions, betrayals, chaos. But he never said, "I just go with my gut." He said, "Don't give circumstances the power to rouse anger, for they don't care." What wisdom! What clarity! The world doesn't care if you're offended. The world doesn't care if you're sad or angry or emotionally flooded. The world just keeps spinning. So instead of demanding the world change, the Stoics trained themselves to be unshakable within it. Let's visualize it. Imagine yourself as a candle in the wind. The stronger the wind, the more your flame flickers, the more you lose control. Now imagine being a lighthouse. Strong, still, unmoved. The waves crash, the wind howls, but the lighthouse stands. Modern society makes us candles. Stoicism trains us to become lighthouses. And here's something Marcus Aurelius never had. He didn't have Instagram filters warping his self-image. He didn't have FOMO from seeing everyone's perfect vacations. He didn't have online dating swipes tricking his brain into endless dissatisfaction. If he could stay grounded, without self-help podcasts or therapy, then we owe it to ourselves to at least try the Stoic path in a world that is emotionally louder than ever. Here's another thing. We have mistaken comfort for peace. We think because we're comfortable, soft clothes, warm homes, good food, that we should be happy. But here's the paradox. Comfort can actually make us emotionally weaker. If we're never challenged, how do we grow? If we never suffer discomfort, how do we build resilience? Marcus and the other Stoics knew this. That's why they practiced voluntary discomfort, which we'll dive into soon. But for now, know this. Emotional struggle in the modern age is not your fault, but it is your responsibility. Because the world will not stop triggering you. The phone will not stop buzzing. The news will not stop shocking. And people will not stop disappointing. But you can stop reacting. You can start training. Like a warrior sharpens a blade, you can sharpen your mind. with ancient tools that have stood the test of time. And that's exactly what we'll explore in the next chapter. The dichotomy of control, the first key to emotional mastery. Picture this. You're walking through a storm. The wind howls. Rain lashes your face. People rush past slipping, panicking, cursing the sky. But not you. You stop. You breathe. You can't control the storm, but you can control how you walk through it. This is the essence of Stoicism. And the most important principle? The dichotomy of control. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, faced betrayal, war, and even plague. He couldn't stop any of it. But he did master one thing. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The Stoics divided the world into two parts. What you can control, your thoughts, actions, and choices. What you cannot, other people, the past, the weather, the economy, almost everything else. And emotional mastery begins when you stop wasting energy on the second and fully embrace the first. Let's bring it to real life. You text someone. They don't reply. Hours go by. Your brain starts spinning. Did I say something wrong? Are they ignoring me? Maybe they're mad. You spiral. But pause. Can you control their phone? Their mood? Their response? No. What can you control? Your patience. Your response. Whether you stew in insecurity or return to peace. That's the Stoic choice. Right there in the pause. The dichotomy of control isn't about ignoring reality. It's about facing it with clarity. You don't control traffic, but you control how you drive. You don't control opinions, but you control how deeply they cut. You don't control the future, but you control what you do today. This is how Marcus remained calm in chaos. He wasn't numb. He was focused. He asked himself again and again, is this within my control? If yes, he acted. If no, he released it. You can do the same. Next time you feel overwhelmed, pause and ask, is this mine to control? Or am I carrying something that doesn't belong to me? Let go of what's not yours. Your peace begins there. How to train the Stoic mind. Daily practices for emotional strength. Imagine your mind as a garden. Leave it alone, and weeds take over. Anger, fear, overthinking. But tend to it daily, and it becomes a place of peace. That's how the Stoics treated the mind. Something you train, not something you just have. And Marcus Aurelius? He trained his mind every single day, even as the world fell apart around him. So how did he do it? Let's walk through the daily Stoic habits he and others used to build emotional strength. Sunrise 1. Morning rehearsal. Today, I will meet. Marcus started each day by expecting hardship. Today I will meet with interference, ingratitude, arrogance. He wasn't being negative. He was building emotional armor. Because if you expect challenges, they don't shock you. If you prepare for rudeness, you don't take it personally. You move through the day with calm. Not because it's easy, but because you were ready. Each morning, ask yourself, what emotional tests might I face today? Prepare. Not to complain, but to stay steady. Pause button 2. The pause. Is this in my control? When something upsets you, stop. Don't react. Don't lash out. Take one breath and ask, is this something I can control? This 1-second pause is where Stoicism lives. In that breath, you reclaim your power. You stop being a puppet of emotion and become the master of your response. Notebook 3. Evening reflection. What did I learn? At night, Marcus reflected, not to judge himself, but to understand himself. He'd ask, where did I overreact? Where did I act with wisdom? What can I do better tomorrow? It wasn't about being perfect. It was about becoming more conscious. A simple journal entry, just a few honest sentences, can turn your day into a lesson. Snowflake 4. Voluntary discomfort. Train the mind with little hardships. The Stoics believed comfort makes the soul soft. So they practiced discomfort, sleeping on the floor, skipping a meal, taking cold baths. Not for pain, but for resilience. Because if you can face little discomforts by choice, you'll face big discomforts in life with strength. You train yourself to say, "This is uncomfortable, but it doesn't control me." Balance Scale 5. Live by principles, not emotions. At the core of Stoicism is this: don't be ruled by how you feel. Be guided by what is right. Marcus had values: justice, reason, courage. And every day, no matter what emotions came up, he returned to those values. When you build your life around principles, not moods, you become emotionally untouchable. These aren't tricks or hacks. They're practices, daily rituals that shape you slowly and powerfully into someone who can walk through fire with a calm heart. And the best part? You can start right now. Turning pain into power. How the Stoics use suffering to grow stronger. We've all felt it. The sting of failure, the weight of disappointment, the ache of loss. Pain is inevitable, but suffering? That's a choice. And the Stoics? They didn't just endure pain. They used it. They didn't look at hardship as a barrier. They saw it as fertilizer for growth. Let's dive into how the Stoics turned their hardest moments into the foundation of their strength. Light bulb pain as a teacher. What can I learn? Marcus Aurelius had a constant reminder in his private journal. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. When something went wrong, Marcus didn't see it as an obstacle. He saw it as an opportunity. Think about your life. Lost a job? It's a chance to reassess, learn new skills, maybe even pursue a new passion. A difficult relationship? It's a chance to practice patience, empathy, and communication. Health problems? It's an opportunity to respect your body, slow down, and shift priorities. The Stoics didn't ask, "Why me?" They asked, "What can I learn from this?" Pain, then, becomes a tool, something that sharpens your mind and deepens your character. You may not control the pain, but you control how you respond to it. Fire the fire of adversity. What will you become? You've heard it before. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But for the Stoics, this wasn't just a saying. It was their creed. They believed suffering was like fire. It can burn you, yes, but it can also purify you, if you choose to let it. Let's think about the legend of the Stoic philosopher Epictetus. Born a slave, Epictetus had every reason to be angry. He was beaten, mistreated, his life far from fair. But he chose to use his pain for something greater. He transformed his hardships into wisdom that now guides millions of people. And when life sucks, Epictetus wrote, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This idea, that adversity, when faced with the right mindset, becomes a forge, can change your life. Think of a steel sword. It must be heated, hammered, and cooled. And that process? It doesn't break the steel, it strengthens it. That's what Stoicism offers. The power to forge yourself stronger with every blow life lands on you. Seedling embracing suffering. Where's the opportunity? Here's the hard truth. Suffering is a part of life. But the question isn't, how do I avoid it? It's how can I grow through it? Let's take a personal example. You're hit with a major setback. Maybe it's a business venture that fails, or you miss out on a major opportunity, or you're dealing with rejection. It hurts. It feels personal. You want to throw in the towel. But what if, just for a moment, you flip the script? What if instead of seeing it as a loss, you saw it as the beginning of a new chapter? How could this failure lead you to a better idea? What is this setback teaching you about persistence, about humility, about effort? What's the wisdom you didn't have yesterday that you now hold? The Stoics weren't detached from emotion. They felt pain just as deeply as anyone else. But they chose to ask, how can I turn this into a source of power? That's the Stoic approach. Shield from weakness to strength, building emotional resilience. When we experience pain, our instinct is to recoil, to protect ourselves. But the Stoics taught us that pain is not our enemy. It's our ally. It reveals the things we haven't dealt with. It exposes our fears, our weaknesses, our attachments. But if we face it, rather than run from it, we grow stronger. Think about it. Every time you choose not to take things personally, you become emotionally stronger. Every time you don't let your circumstances define your worth, you fortify your mind. Every time you respond with patience instead of frustration, you build resilience. It's like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. Flexed biceps, the ultimate power, changing your perspective. There's one final Stoic secret. It's not the events that cause your suffering. It's how you perceive them. The Stoics believe that our judgment of events determines whether they harm us or help us. The obstacle itself isn't the problem. It's the way we react to it. So when life brings pain, ask yourself, what does this teach me? How can I grow stronger through this? What's the opportunity hidden in this challenge? That's the Stoic way, and it can transform even your deepest suffering into your greatest strength. If you found these Stoic practices helpful, imagine how much more you can achieve by applying them to your daily life. The path to emotional mastery, lasting happiness, and true inner peace is within your reach. All it takes is one step at a time. So, here's my challenge to you. Start today. Pick one Stoic principle. Whether it's mastering your emotions, embracing suffering as growth, or focusing on what's within your control, and begin to apply it. Your future self will thank you. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a chance to learn how to live a more intentional, fulfilling life. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below. Which Stoic practice are you going to start with? Or do you have a favorite Stoic quote that keeps you grounded? Keep growing, keep learning, and as the Stoics say, live according to nature. I'll see you in the next video.